Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Scott Reed, and welcome to A Word, Rafinha's interview series where I get to talk to creatives, writers, poets, filmmakers, podcasters, and those who make the magic that make this life worth living. Today, we have Amanda Schoonover. She is best known for the sassy eavesdropping waitress role on the GLAAD nominated Dispatches from Elsewhere, on AMC, where she co starred opposite Jason Segel, Sally Field, and Andre 3000 Benjamin of film television, Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy, NBC's Do Not Harm opposite Phylicia Rashad, and HBO's Perry Mason with Shea Whigham. As a theater artist, she is a two-time Barrymore Award recipient and artist. She's a nine-time nominee as well. And she's also was being a Jilline Ringle Solo performance program artist. Wow, that's amazing. In residence at 1812 Productions for the It Girl and an Otto Haas Emerging Artist Finalist. She is the lead executive producer, also a costume design, partnering in art direction in Mercy, a film written and directed by filmmaker Jim Towns about a teacher trapped in a theocratic state and her search for her kidnapped spouse. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining me and for your patience.
Thank you so much for having me.
Where are you coming to us from?
I am in beautiful Germantown area of Philadelphia.
Wonderful. That's awesome. And I really am excited that you're here. Mercy is a fantastic film, a very, how should I say it, personal for what's going on right now and how it affected me watching it. And I'm excited for you to talk a little bit about what this role meant to you.
Yeah, so a little over a year ago, I guess, I Jim and I were talking. I had worked with Jim on a couple of other projects before, and I've known him for a really long time. And I was talking about the desire to create something where I could carry a role in a film to get that experience, but also that we wanted to say something. Jim and I were both very disturbed by some of the things that were happening in the current climate of our the political fabric of our country. And Jim was feeling really down at the time. And I noticed that he was posting a lot on social media. And I was like, well, you can either scream into the void to people who agree with you, or you can try to cast a wider net by creating something that then goes out into the world where we're not telling you how to think, but we're like, what do you think about this?
Mhm.
How do you feel about this? Um, I'm not sure that everybody's going to realize that the film is a lot more topical than some people are going to think it's science fiction, and some people are going to be like, oh, I'm not sure that it is.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how that came about. And the more that he thought about it, he's like, I think you're right. And so I kind of threw him a bunch of ideas. He was almost like my personal chat GPT. He's kind of a savant that way, where I was like, I gave him a bunch of things that I am really drawn to as a film watcher and something that I would want to be in. I was like, I like um, period costume.
Mhm.
One of the things I said was like, I want to have a film where I feel like I look beautiful. And I also want to look ugly at times,
Mhm. Mhm.
stuff like that. And here are the things I do really well. I can cry at the drop of a hat without it looking like I'm trying to cry.
Mhm.
things that I need to work on are sort of keeping things contained. So,
Mm.
like, and Jim brought me this script, and I was like, yeah, this is right along what I was hoping for. So yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that about how you are as a person and how the character of Mercy came across as someone who had the emotions right on the level, but then could somehow pull it back when the time it had to be, couldn't let that stuff show, but then could also be that vulnerable at the same time. Very stark contrast was that chiaroscura, that light and dark style, where you have the light but the dark at the same time, and they kind of you see, depending on what's going on in the scene, you see it come through in your performance. The light, the dark, the light, the dark, kind of always battling each other in the character. So I thought that was really interesting in your performance.
Thank you. It's something that I struggle with in real life because my one of my superpowers is that I have this kind of freakish ability to tap into my emotions. And I know actors, they say that, but I'm telling you, it's like I can go to a level of 11 really quickly. Um, to the which is really great in my work, but not always great in real life. Like
Mm.
I can tell you from experience, it's not great when you're working in a law firm, right? Like
Mhm.
crying over the files. Nobody wants you doing that. Luckily, my lawyers back in the day, they cared about me a lot, and they were like, "Oh, she's fine." But it's something that I struggle with in real life is sort of keeping my emotions or my feelings in check. I guess normal people, quote, normal people don't do that on a daily basis. They don't, I'm the kind of person who will tell you how I'm feeling in the moment all the time because I don't want there to be any miscommunication.
Mm.
So I've just trained myself to do that. So that people are like, well, why does Mandy look upset? Well, because I am, and
Yeah.
this is what's going on. So, it was kind of a way for me to explore that through the character because I think, Mercy is trying to hold things in until she can't.
Mhm.
Even when she's in private, like how private is it in this kind of society? So
Mhm.
I feel like she holds a lot in
Mhm.
until she can't. She just can't, you know.
What has been, because this is such an incredible role, but what has been your most challenging role to date, would you say?
Probably a theater role that I've played. So like the one thing you should know about me is I've been a professional theater actor for 30 years. I've only gotten into film and television over the last, we'll say decade. And I feel like 4 or 5 of those years didn't count because we were in the pandemic and then this industry shut down and then, we're
Mhm.
kind of in free fall. So I would say it's probably a role that I played in a play called The Terrible Girls, which was a Southern Gothic horror play, which is highly unusual. There's not a lot of horror in theater, and I love it.
Me too.
But but again, I played a character that was very duplicitous and wasn't quite what she seemed. The playwright is a master of writing in these sort of archetypal roles and then exploding them. So
Mm.
like when the turn happens, you're like, oh my God, like what just happened? So yeah, it was Minnie. Her name was Minnie, and that
That's awesome.
was one of my favorites and also very challenging.
Mm. I have to imagine. I only did like theater when I was in like high school. And I remember being so terrified of messing up that I almost couldn't be even present in the role. So when I hear of people who've done theater for as long as you have, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so, first of all, you're playing to live, you're playing to a room that isn't all sitting in the same proximity. Like there's so many other things to consider. The camera's not doing your angles, you're doing the angles. It's such a full body experience.
Correct.
Then
That's exactly how I describe it. Like the fundamentals of acting on stage and film are the same, but the way you go about it is not.
Mhm,
So theater is definitely a full body contact sport.
mhm,
I'm not
mhm,
saying that that film isn't physical because it is,
mhm,
but the mechanics are very different.
mhm,
If you have a thought on stage, your whole body, like the person
mhm,
in the back row needs to see that. So a
mhm.
little eyebrow raise is not going to cut it.
Yeah,
But
subtlety,
if
no
you do that
subtlety.
whole body thing in film, people are like, that person's crazy. What is going on? You know, because the camera just picks up the most subtle of eye shifts, or
Mhm,
it can literally see you think, which I don't know
mhm.
how it does that, but it does.
Yeah. What techniques do you use, like to prepare yourself or to immerse yourself in the character of Mercy, for example?
I don't subscribe to any one technique. And at this point, I've been doing it for so long that I sort of don't think about it anymore. Um, but I was trained kind of in the like Meisner a little bit, not the like silly, the silly stuff. But this and like absolutely, sometimes for Mercy, you would do a little bit of method, which is extremely useful for film, is just not useful at all in theater. Not at all. You don't need it, in my
Mhm,
opinion. I mean, maybe it works for some people, but I think it's ridiculous.
mhm,
But in film, because it's so segmented that you may be doing something totally different before you have to do a scene that's really, really emotional. So for one of the really big emotional scenes, I have a song that is extremely triggering to me that makes me like ugly cry to the point where my chest hurts. And I'm like, well, pop those earbuds in and let's go.
mhm.
Because the audience isn't going to know how you get there. They just know whether you get there.
Amanda, this is going to be very weird, and I normally don't jump to the end,
Yeah.
but you just said about the song.
Yeah.
While preparing for an interview, I like to find the right vibe for each guest before interviewing them. And I listened to Bury a Friend by Billie Eilish before talking to you. And my question to you is going to be, what song do you listen to, or what movie do you watch that prepares you, that brings you in um, to when you are doing this role? And if you were to think of one, and you just said I popped my earbuds and I did it, it's just weird because when you're on the wavelength of someone like that, I always have to point out, like, we are literally on the same wavelength in that regard. There always has to be if you've never heard Bury a Friend, I don't, you have, if you have and you listen to the lyrics, you're in the vibe of the song, you're going to know why it reminds me of Mercy. So just take a listen when you get a chance. But I know it makes you ugly cry, but would you share the song title? If it's uncomfortable, you don't have to.
Yes, although I'm probably going to get emotional just talking about it, so
Okay.
just warning. Um, so it's a song by Tracy Bonham called Mother Mother.
Okay.
And it was a song that was very popular in the 90s, which really didn't hit me at all in the 90s. And then I lost my mother. And
Oh.
when I listen to the lyrics mean something totally different to me now
Mhm.
because she's not here. And there's this part in the song where she starts, she screams, everything's fine. And like that was literally the sound that my heart made when it broke.
Mhm.
And it's a very Gen X thing where we have been trained our whole lives to just like nobody cares, shut up, and just do your job. And so uh when you can't like just stay in your room and put the covers over your head, you just scream everything's fine and you just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
That's the song. I can't even talk about it without crying because it just really triggers something in me.
Well, I really thank you for being so honest. Honestly, I'm blown away by that. That's a beautiful description. And as a Gen X woman, I totally agree with you. It's a rough ride. It is a rough ride. And I
It
appreciate
is.
you being so candid. Um, it's
And like we're getting to that place where I know I don't totally look my age, but we're getting to the age where for women we start to really become invisible or we feel
Mhm.
invisible. And it's really, like it's something I don't think we've solved for Gen X women. Like we're sort of straddled by two very loud generations, and
Mhm.
I don't know that things have really changed for me. I'm still like I feel like I still have to come out swinging every time just to
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
to be noticed despite
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
the talent that I think I have.
my,
So,
my mom raised my mom and dad, I very much so, you can do or be whatever you want, right? So I have this idea, and I think a lot
yeah,
of Gen X women, that we can do and be whatever we want, and then constantly hitting a wall, different choices we have to make, things that different sacrifices we have to make. And then you wind up in your mid to late 50s and you go, okay, wait a minute, what happened to I can do whatever I want? Now I can. My kids are done. Now I can. Now I'm free. And then
yeah,
it's just like no one's noticing. Now
right.
no one cares. So it can't be anything. Like it becomes like this. And then you just you shove down that feeling and you continue on and you do what you need to do. But it's very much our generation is kind of sandwiched with with moms, my mom in particular, who was very um progressive. My father, extraordinary progressive. I thank God every day for them. But then going out into the world that isn't quite ready yet and being raised in that world, trying to raise your own kids in with even more freedom, and then just feeling like, yeah, but is it real? Is it true? Or I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting
Yeah, well, and
philosophical.
it's such a societal thing, and it's
Mhm.
so friggin' frustrating, man. I don't know if it comes out of consumerism, where like they're trying to sell you this thing that isn't possible, right? Where they're
Mhm.
like, uh, if you stay young forever, well, like nobody can do that. So people spend so much money trying to do that because they're like, oh, we only value young women. And I'm like, why?
Mhm.
Why?
Mhm.
Because I know so much more than I did when I was 20.
Mhm.
I am such a better performer than I was when I was 20. And like, I'm just at a place where I refuse to just roll over and die. Like,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I
Mhm.
have something to say. And
Mhm.
I feel like men don't go through the same thing. I'm not saying that men don't have problems,
Mhm.
but they do not go through the same thing. They don't have the same societal pressure that women have.
Mhm.
Like, they don't understand the pressure that we have of like, the judgment of like, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
Oh, you don't have kids. Like, you
Mhm.
can't win.
Right.
You just can't
Right.
win, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you have a job and a child and like, oh, you're gonna have a nervous breakdown because you have no time for you. Like,
Mhm.
it's just
It's craziness.
It's
But that's
crazy.
why I think that's why the story of for okay, the story of Mercy,
Yeah.
that taken to an extreme, like the total control. Why do you think the story of Mercy is an important one to tell for you?
Because, in the last few years, we have seen rights being taken away from women. I don't care what anyone says.
Mhm.
Facts are facts. And rights are being slowly like backpedaled for women. That has happened
Mhm.
in my lifetime. And that is scary because that just opens a door where, like, well, what's next? And what I'm talking about is a woman's right to make choices about her own body.
Mhm.
And we'll just say that. Um,
Mhm.
and that people think that they should have a say in what a woman chooses for her own body because of some blanket bullshit that is being put on her, and no one can know what is going on for a person unless you're in their own skin.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of judgment and people wanting to control a narrative and people wanting to control women. And so we have seen that happen. And people tried to gaslight me to be like, oh, don't worry, they're not going to take your rights away. I'm like, bro, they already have. And this sort of being gaslit. And so that opens the door for like, well, now what's next?
Mhm.
Like, if I can't make a choice over that, can I make a choice over my finances? It wasn't
Right.
that long
Voting,
ago.
the voting acts that are
What about
being
voting?
like,
Can I
oh, you got
own
to
my
have your
property?
original name. It's like, wait, you set up this society where we change our names to match our husbands, and then, oh, but you got to have your original name to vote. I find that convenient. Like it's little drips and
Thank,
drabs.
thank God I didn't change my name. Like seriously,
I know. It's
even though
crazy.
even though Schoonover's a humdinger, and maybe I
Sorry, even though
should.
I mispronounced. Well, man, it's been so awesome to speak with you. I think Jim knew what he was doing when he got us to talk together because I think you're a great voice to hear. The movie that you've done, your performance is wonderful, and I hope everybody, once it's out and takes a look at it and just thinks about it. Just no matter, like you said before, no matter what your thoughts are in the current situation, what are your thoughts on this film, and see where that takes people? Because I think it's a very much makes you think and makes you feel. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll talk soon.
Great.